We're opening a question that is inviting possibilities that perhaps we haven't thought about before. We're told very often, be realistic about what you want, be realistic about what you're looking to achieve. We're trying to bypass the conscious mind and go into to activate your subconscious, your unconscious mind. Because what happens is we limit ourselves in our life. In this Thinking Out Loud episode, Clarkie and I explore quantum questions. What are they? How do you use them? And we give you some concrete examples. I've been using quantum questions for about 15 years now, and they've made an enormous difference to my life. I liken it to kind of being playful and engaging with the universe in a really simple way, in a way that activates your brain, and it helps you to create what it is that you really want in this life. Hope you enjoy. And at some point, you will get this little nudge, this little bit of intuition that says, that's the direction, that's the answer, go there, go and follow that. Welcome back to Midlife Unfiltered. This is one of our Thinking Out Loud episodes with myself and my partner Clarkie.
Hey, and I'm really excited about this.
Me too, always. And today,
what are we talking about?
Well, today we're going to talk about quantum questions.
That's got me a little blank because I'm thinking quantum, in the word quantum, refers, from my perspective, quantum physics, and I have no idea what quantum physics is. It's too complicated for me.
Well, today we're not going to get complicated. We're just going to make it really, really simple, because
Great.
Quantum questions are something I have used for the last, 15 years in my own life. And basically all they are is a question that activates possibility.
Okay. Can you expand on that? What does that mean?
Well, I think if we start to understand, whenever we answer a question, so we've been taught since we were in primary school, once a question's asked, you have to answer a question. Once we answer a question, our brain moves on, literally. We're like, okay, that question's done and dusted, now we move on. So what we're trying to do with quantum questions is we're opening a question that is inviting possibilities that perhaps we haven't thought about before. And what we want to do is, once we've perhaps got an answer, ask that same question again.
Can you give me an example of that?
Yeah, sure. A question that some of us ask ourselves, what do I want to create? Like, it's a great question. But as soon as you answer it, you start moving into action. And, we're action beings. We like to do in our world. And what quantum questions do is invite us to think about, perhaps outside the realm of what we think is possible, what we think is realistic, because, we're told very often, be realistic about what you want, be realistic about what you're looking to achieve. So when we look at what do I want to create? Oh, maybe if I ask myself that today, maybe I want to go and do a drawing. Great. Then I'll go and do a drawing. But if I say, what do I want to create? Oh, I want to do a drawing. Oh, what else do I want to create? Now my brain continues to think about that. So you've got to remember, our brain, we are constantly feeding our brain. Okay? Everything we're reading, everything we're looking at, that's like food for our brain. When we ask a question, our brain has this natural instinct to go looking for an answer. So we have I don't want to get too technical, but we have something called the RAS, the reticular activating system in our brain. And that is what basically filters out our world. So if I was to give you an example, right now you're not thinking about the chair that you're sitting on. But if you think about that chair, you can start to feel the texture of it. You can feel, maybe you feel a bit hot under your legs. It's coming to your attention. Now that information was always there, but your RAS is filtering out because it's irrelevant. It's not necessarily, right? And so your RAS also filters information in. Right? We're thinking about, okay, we're talking into a microphone. Oh, I want to make sure that I'm staying close enough to the microphone. Your RAS is keeping that filtered in your head. That making sense so far?
Yeah, that all makes sense. But should a quantum question have the potential for an answer? So when you say, what do I want to create? And you said a drawing. So that's an answer. Mm-hmm. So if I ask a question that in theory doesn't have an answer.
Like what?
I knew you were going to say that.
Okay.
Margit's done these wonderful cards which are quantum questions. So what would it take to shift my consciousness? There's a classic example.
Okay, and that's a question I know because we've talked about this before. You don't particularly understand that as a question.
No,
But
because it has no answer.
Your conscious,
I'm a male.
your conscious mind doesn't understand that as a question. Your unconscious mind does, and this is what we're trying to do. We're trying to bypass the conscious mind and go into to activate your subconscious, your unconscious mind, because what happens is we limit ourselves in our life. So what do I want to create? Oh, I want to create. Yep, maybe it's a drawing. Maybe I want to go and do some cooking. What do I want to create in my work life? Maybe I want to create a little program. All of these things, they seem realistic. What do I want to create? What do I want to create? When we continue to ask that, what happens is our RAS goes to work. So it now will go out looking in the world for that answer as you walk through your day. Now, it's not that we don't ever want to answer a question. And let me tell you, not all questions are quantum questions, and not all questions shouldn't be answered, right? If I ask you, what do you feel like for dinner? And you
That's
go,
a quantum question.
Yeah. So let me just...
I never have an answer for that.
That's right. If you don't answer me, I start to get a bit annoyed, right? So it's not about never answering a question. It's about using this as a tool to invite some new possibilities that you hadn't thought of. And so in not answering it, and you ask, okay, so let's have a think about a different question. How can I be of service to the world? Like, I think this is a really wonderful question. When we get into our heads, we go, okay, well, what are the skills I have? What am I good at? What kind of reach do I want to have? We get really, cerebral about it when we think about, oh, how can I be of service to the world? Oh, I could do this or I could do this. Let's just say we held this question for a day. How can I be of service to the world? What will start happening is little things will pop up because your RAS is like, hey, how about this? Oh, hey, how about this? Or hey, how about this? Because it likes to get the answer for you. It likes to give you the focus.
Let me try to understand this. So the RAS, which is the filtering system that you're talking about, is that the little voice in my head that's telling me all the negative stuff that I shouldn't hear?
No.
That's a different world.
That's your inner critic.
So will the RAS bypass that little inner critic?
Yes, it actually will. And that's a really good question because the RAS's job is to go out and find the answer. So it will go out and look for potential answers and it will feed it to you. And at some point, you will get this little nudge, this little bit of intuition that says, that's the direction, that's the answer, go there, go and follow that. And when you get that intuitive nudge, that's when you can take action.
So do you need to be in a certain emotional state to be able to achieve this? So if I say, what do I want to create? And I'm angry.
You're probably, number one, you're probably not going to ask yourself these questions when you're angry. But that's the reality of it because the level of awareness and consciousness it takes to ask these questions when you're angry is I don't want to say beyond most people, but it requires a lot of self-awareness.
Well, I don't know whether I'm going to answer it as well as if I'm in almost like a state of meditation where I'm just letting myself... I don't know. That's just...
Yeah, this is not about meditating. It's really about bypassing our inner critic, bypassing our conscious mind. So let's say, for example, you were really angry. If you could ask yourself in that moment, what are the infinite possibilities for this to work out? That might be enough to soften you, just to soften you into maybe there's a possibility. Maybe this could work out. Oh, maybe something can change. Maybe I don't have to be so angry. Does that make sense?
So do these quantum questions, do you repeat them like they're an affirmation or...
Well, I think for me it's really powerful when I choose a quantum question is that I continue to ask it until I feel that nudge. They're really useful for if you're feeling stuck in particular. If you are feeling in, let's say, a mood, if you can ask the right quantum question, it can actually soften that and it can help you get up to a higher or a better emotional state than what you're currently in.
Okay. So when, like, I look at what you've produced, which is fantastic, And there's how many cards? 52 cards?
Yeah, so using these has been something I've done for years, and then a couple of years ago I was really led to create a deck of cards called Finding Your Flow, which is very much about getting into flow in your life and using quantum questions to do
This isn't
that.
a sales pitch either.
No, and so, yeah, this deck of cards has 52 cards in it, and each card has a different question, because it can be hard sometimes to come up with your own quantum questions. The go-tos, if anyone is aware of a modality called access consciousness, you would hear a lot, what else is possible and how does it get better than this? They're two questions that get asked over and over, and they alone are fantastic questions to take with you through your day. Even if you're having a really, really good day, when you ask, how does it get better than this? The world loves to show you, wow, what about this and what about this? I've had some extraordinary experiences just asking that question when things were going really well. So you can use them in all situations at all different times. And it really is, for me, it's just about activating a different possibility and using your mind. So you start using your RAS almost like a detective. Like, oh, what are the infinite possibilities for this to work out? Well, maybe it'll be this. And you'll start to get some answers flow to you. And then you ask it again and some other answers might come in. Then you ask it again and other answers will come in.
I've got one question. So what happens when you wake up and you're walking around, you're having a bad day, so how can it get any worse than this? Is that a quantum question as well?
I wouldn't recommend asking that question, because the universe will mirror what you are asking. So you've got to think about this from an energy perspective. And, energy is something that I love. I love working with energy. But the universe will give you, this whole idea of law of attraction, you get what you focus on. If that's what you choose to focus on, that's what will be mirrored back to you. And yes, you can use that as a quantum question, but it's not your ideal, right? But people who are asking that,
they ask that all the time.
Yeah, they do. And you will get those answers as well. So you want to really think about what it is that you really want in your life. And this is not about being, I talk about this toxic positivity. It's not about that. This is about creating micro shifts in your own energy, in what you're focusing on, and it's a really nice way to soften into it or to extend, the goodness that's already happening in your life.
Okay. So going back to these, you've spent a lot of time creating these questions, but they're just a sample. They're just prompts for people. Yeah. Like, you can do your own stuff.
Oh yeah, you can create your own quantum questions. You don't have to, it's not like there's only a certain number of quantum questions that'll work. Just understanding that when we ask questions, our brain goes searching for the answer. When we don't answer the question immediately, your brain will keep searching for it. Okay. And so we can use this as a tool to, as I said, create more possibilities, open up your life.
So is this something for people out in the podcast world that they should be looking at every day, getting up and having a positive question that they think about?
Well, I love starting my day with a let's say a positive quantum question, but I love starting my day with one of these questions, because it just opens something within you, and you start to feel these little shifts within.
Okay, that's cool. I'm going to think of a question. How can I become a better putter? Is that a quantum question? I'm kidding.
Oh my Lord, you should try living with this one. But no, there's something that I feel really passionate about. I think they're a fantastic tool in the world that you don't need a lot of education around it. Anyone can ask it. You can ask it at any time. You can ask it when your life is at its best. You can ask it when life is at its worst. And you can just be really playful with them. I find, certainly in the last couple of years, asking myself, where can I walk with more ease and grace? What would it take to be more playful? So those, what would it take? Where can I? What are the possibilities? They're the sorts of questions. So as soon as you start saying how, and I know I use that, how can I be of service? But when we've got to be really careful of the how questions, because what happens is we've already decided what we want. So you decided, I want to be a better putter. And so now you're looking for, how am I going to do that? So we're looking to lock down the process of how we're getting from one point to the other.
Yeah, okay.
Right? And I understand we do that with goal setting. That's how we've been taught. This is like, wow, okay, what if putting wasn't where it was at for you, right?
Well, it's not.
No, I know, and I know you were giving me an example.
So this is a great opportunity for people out there to enhance their life.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Really simply, just ask yourself some really good questions. Make sure they're sort of that quantum question that you don't necessarily know the answer to, and be prepared to keep asking it. Just ask it in the morning, and then keep asking it and keep asking it. But you do also, they can be really challenging sometimes. You know, sometimes you just have to keep working through them. You know, if I was open to adventure, what else would I try? Ooh, hang on. Maybe I'll try this. Ooh, maybe I'll try this. Ooh. And you will get different answers throughout the day. And what happens is things start coming into your mind, and you'll start seeing things differently in the world. And it's no different to when you just, buy a new car. Just a car that's new to you. Like, we've bought this car, we're all excited. And now all of a sudden we see that car everywhere on the road. And we're like, well, why does that happen? It happens because that car is in your mind, its centre of focus, and now your RAS is activated and it goes looking for it. It's the same sort of principle as that. Is that making sense?
Yep.
Yeah. So that's today's episode. It's just to get you thinking a little bit differently about, perhaps how are you using questions in your life? What could you do a little bit differently? Are there some questions perhaps that you're asking yourself that are not working for you, that are not creating the results that you want? Really trying to start to notice if you're using the how questions to direct your life and control, because that's all about control, and just lightening up a bit and asking some great questions that will open up possibilities.
Fantastic. Well, you've explained what quantum questions are to me, so thank you.
Excellent. Thanks for tuning in to Midlife Unfiltered. I hope today sparked something meaningful and reminded you of what's possible in this season of life. If this episode lifted you up, share it with someone who could use the reminder. Subscribing will make sure that you're notified when a new episode is released, and leaving a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify also helps more people discover our little corner of midlife truth-telling. You can always reach out through Facebook, Instagram, or LinkedIn. I love hearing from women who are walking this path with me. Interested in working with me? You'll find everything you need at margitcruise.com. And remember, midlife isn't an ending. It's your invitation to feel more alive than ever. See you next week. And now the legal stuff. The content in this podcast is provided for general information and inspiration only. It does not constitute medical, legal, or psychological advice, nor is it a substitute for independent professional care. Margit Cruise is not a registered health professional. You are responsible for your own choices and outcomes, and should always seek advice from an appropriately qualified professional.